On the 22nd of November 1958 in Santa Monica, in the family of famous actors Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh, was born a second daughter, who was named Jamie. Jamie repeatedly said that she was born to save the marriage and it didn't work. Tony Curtis was quite narcissistic, not interested in children at all, but very interested in women. Not surprisingly, in 1962, the family of two Hollywood superstars broke up. The children stayed with their mother. The actor fulfilled his financial obligations and paid his ex-wife alimony, and the lack of mental intimacy with his children did not bother him at all. There were times when Jamie was the only one of the 6 descendants of Tony Curtis to have any contact with his father. Janet Leigh, according to Jamie, was a caring mother who was always mindful of her children's needs and wishes, but she also failed to build a warm, trusting relationship with them. Jamie believes that this was not a characteristic of her mum, but of the entire generation to which Janet Leigh belonged. But Jamie began to draw conclusions about generational differences as an adult. As a child, she was just frustrated and angry because her parents didn't love her the way she wanted to be loved. The future star was a rebellious teenager, did poorly in school, thought about becoming a policewoman, but ended up studying to become a social worker. Well, a year later Jamie admitted that her choice was unsuccessful. The girl dropped out of school and decided to devote herself to acting. Although the actress says she has never worked up to her 7th sweat in her life, she's being sly about it. Jamie had to step out of her parents' shadow, show that she wasn't just the daughter of Janet Leigh and Tony Curtis, convince audiences that they wanted to go to the films she starred in, make her own connections and acquaintances in the film industry, and much more. She had to work for over 40 years to take the Oscar, but now no one will say she's just a celebrity daughter. At first, things were going for her neither shakily nor shakily. Mostly, the young actress appeared on television and in episodic roles. But in 1978, John Carpenter decided that Jamie is ideal for the role of Laurie Strode, a frightened victim and younger sister, as it turns out later sinister maniac Michael Myers. The director was shooting his first Halloween and she happily agreed to play in the film. Generally, the actress is very fearful and is not able to watch horror films in principle. But at her age and with her experience, roles should not be thrown away. Her fear on the screen was almost genuine. The actress sobbed with horror, screamed like a wounded animal, squealed, desperately tried to escape, and it paid off. Literally, Halloween, with a budget of $325,000, collected a box office of $60 million. The film turned out to be a landmark, not only for the genre, but for cinema in principle. And Jamie Lee Curtis woke up famous. In the press, she was compared to her mother, not in an offensive way. Critics favorably noted that the young actress is good, and the creators of horror films wanted Jamie Lee Curtis starred in them. She did it and did it. In the filmography of our heroine will gain more than 15 pictures in the genres of horror and thriller. The audience nicknamed her Scream Queen, because Jamie Lee Curtis yells famously and convincingly. And that's where Jamie Lee Curtis' first amazing transformation takes place. 12 horror films are racked up in her diverse filmography. The lion's share of those horror films are Halloween. The actress has a soft spot for that franchise. But after starring in her first 7 horror films, Jamie realized she was in danger of getting stuck in one role. If the acting talent is inherited, the talent to portray horror Jamie inherited from his mother, but the comedic streak, from his father. In 1983, the actress demonstrated this in the film Switch. And his first major crop of awards Lee Curtis collected just for the comedy. A Fish Called Wanda brought her the Golden Globe and the BAFTA Award in the category Best Actress. According to rumors, one of the viewers of the picture literally died of laughter, a beautiful legend for a black comedy, right? Not only talent was visible, soon the audience, and producers, and advertising agents began to talk about the stunning physical data Jamie Lee Curtis. Athletic, tall, with a chiseled waist and legs from the ears, the very texture of the actress whispered, "Dress me up in spandex, make me striptease." In 1994, this idea was finally realized in the comedy action film True Lies. Doris' striptease scene is remembered by literally everyone who grew up in the 90s. Especially the legendary fall. Jamie Lee Curtis really fell off her high heels, but got up and continued dancing. James Cameron decided to keep this unfortunate shot in the film, because it was very suitable for the image of the heroine, and, besides, it was funny. It got to the point where Jamie became the face or legs of a stocking brand and insured her working body part for $1 million. The glorious successor to her parents went to the gym, got Botox, went on diets, and even had plastic surgery that left her addicted to prescription painkillers. But then Jamie realized that sooner or later she would lose the battle against age-related changes. She had the example of her mum, who was careful about her appearance, frustrated by every wrinkle and striving to get rid of the signs of age. In the old Hollywood, actresses were quickly out of circulation. It was believed that the cinema, it is not for 40-year-olds. Jamie saw how much suffering her mothers suffered because of beauty standards that forbade women to age. So she decided, to hell with them. No one can stay 20 forever. And that's how Jamie Lee Curtis got into body positivity. One day in 2002, she starred for the cover of the September issue of More magazine in simple lingerie, no makeup, and refused to retouch the pictures. She explained that people think of her as a lady with a perfect figure, walking around in glamorous outfits, which is not the case. And she doesn't want to mislead her peers around the world. Jamie Lee Curtis saw a photo of her future husband in a magazine, poked her finger in it and said, "That's the guy I'm going to marry." And 5 months later, the 18th of December 1984, she did. Christopher Hayden Guest, also an actor, composer and also a baron, is still the husband of the actress. The couple have 2 children, whom they adopted 9 years apart. At first they tried to conceive on their own, but it didn't work out. Then Jamie and Christopher turned to pregnant women who had decided to give the baby up for adoption. Their family welcomed a newborn Annie in 1986 and Ruby in 1997. Jamie Lee Curtis attended the birth of her second daughter and even cut the umbilical cord. The actress became a caring mum and enjoyed doing household chores. In the late 90s, Curtis even put her acting career on hold to spend more time with her children. Instead of horror and action films, she did yogurt adverts, because it was a quick, predictable and well-paid job that didn't require long absences from home. The soul, however, demanded creativity, and in 1994 Jamie Lee Curtis began writing children's books. She became popular in this field. Jamie believes that the key to her success is that she manages to entertain both children and adults, just on different levels. Thus, kids enjoy listening to her stories and parents enjoy reading them aloud. The kids inspired Curtis to come up with a new nappy design. They had a moisture-proof pocket for wet wipes. Jamie even has a patent for this invention. Or rather, had one. In 2007 it became public domain, in accordance with the rules of patent law. In 2016, Jamie Lee Curtis patented another variant of nappies. They can be thrown away piece by piece. Many people's lives change dramatically after having children, and often not for the better. But Jamie Lee Curtis found in motherhood inspiration, joy and the opportunity to do things she would not have dared to do before. And after the children grew up, she returned to her main profession. Jamie remembered what an aloof mum Janet Leigh had been. She decided not to repeat history. Her children had grown up in an atmosphere of love and acceptance. They were never afraid to tell their parents anything and knew they could always count on their support. And so it turned out. The eldest daughter, Annie, was interested in dancing as a child, got an education in this field and now works as a choreographer. The youngest, Ruby, was not very fond of being in the public eye, but she also found something to her liking, developing computer games. At the age of 25, she made the transgender transition. So now Jamie Lee Curtis dreams of one day becoming a grandmother. She does not care whether her grandchildren will be born from her daughters or adopted. After all, she knows from her own experience, in order to love a child like a native, it is not necessary to produce it yourself.